Hello people of the internet, welcome back to my channel and welcome to 6:30 AM on a weekday morning at London Road Depot. Yeah, I'm a bit bleary-eyed. I've got to get up early for work today, otherwise known as driving an early morning train on the Bakerloo Line in Train Sim World 2. And here it is. This is our train. It's a 1972 stock. There it is. It's got not in service on the window blind at the front, so let's change that. We're driving this service to Queen's Park, so let's change it to that. And, yep, that looks good to me. So, we've done a thing. We've set that. And first what we've got to do is prepare the train and bring it out of the depot, which is obviously this. And basically, this is where all the trains have a heckin' big sleep overnight. So we've got to wake this one up and then drive it onto the Bakerloo Line itself. We've got to send it underground. We are literally going underground today. And drive an early morning service. So let's get on that, shall we? Now, before I go any further, if any of you watched my first impressions video of Train Sim World 2, you may remember I commented on a bug that I kept encountering with this train, with the 1972 stock, where I would, the traction brake control, I would go to try and put the power on, just press that button, and nothing would happen, and I wouldn't know what was going on. Well, someone in the comments observed that if you have the window open, it doesn't work. So I've now put it in shunt, we should be moving, but we're not. If I close the window, we start moving. So there we go. That solved that problem, and now if I try and put the power on and the window's open, yeah, nothing's happening. So, there we go, we've solved that one. Thank you to whoever that was in the comments for solving the mystery that was. So, you can't have the windows open. You can open the windows on the 1972 stock, but the train doesn't allow you to. So, you better not plan on moving. And, I mean, to be fair, this is an underground train. I don't really know why you'd want the windows open anyway. Oh, yeah, I'm letting all that lovely sunlight in. You know, unless you're operating exclusively the northern end of this line where it is actually above ground, then I don't really know why otherwise. So, I'm just going to stop here for a moment. Like some of the other units, have we stopped a bit early? We have stopped a little bit early. Whoops. And then, what about there? What about there? There you go. Wait for a moment. Presumably we watched for that little thing to go green. It hasn't gone green, but the signal's green anyway, so let's get moving, shall we? Some sirens in the distance, so you can tell that London's just starting to wake up. So what we're going to do now is leave the London Road Depot and head into these tunnels, which are named Line Entry. And I'm on external camera just to show you what happens when we go inside a tunnel. If you're wondering what happens to external cameras when you go inside a tunnel, they just sort of go away. So, there we go, we're in. We now cannot use external cameras because there's kind of no room to do so. So, we're now in the Line Entry tunnel. We're still only going 5 miles an hour. Oh, we're supposed to only be going 5 miles an hour. But you've got to be very careful in this section. Because look on the bottom right there. There's a new part of the HUD for Train Sim World 2 that I do appreciate. It's a little gradient indicator. We're now at 2.5% downhill gradient. And that goes up a bit more. Now it's 3.3%. You will be amazed how quickly you gather speed going downhill. I've not got the power on. And I think it gets even steeper than this. And 5 miles an hour, so we're speeding now. There we go. You've got to be so careful. Look how fast the speedo's going up in the bottom right. There we go, and we're speeding. Trying to only do 5 miles an hour. And this is coasting, by the way. The only thing I can do is put the brakes on. And immediately we're speeding again. Oh, no, that's not... I've pressed the wrong button as well. That's not helped matters at all. So you've got to just balance it on the throttle and brake because you're basically going vertically downhill in these tunnels. There's all the echoing and the moodiness. I've seen some people say, well, the front lights on these trains aren't very good, but... I mean, it's the underground, dude. They're pretty... It's not exactly light and airy down here, you know? Look at that. Look, just let me show you. So from 3.5 miles an hour, Look how quickly we're gaining speed, and that's not on the throttle. That's just how steep the gradient is in this tunnel down from the depot. So now the speed limit's gone up a little bit. We can now do... we do have to stop at this location up here, so we've got to be doubly careful of that. Because there's a red signal right there. You can see that. Luckily, you can see that in the... Oh. And again, the gradient just catch me out a little bit. There we go. We're all right. Wait for a moment. That signal should go green. And it does. There we go. So, we can finally get underway. And head to Waterloo, where we're going to start our run today. It's not quite the full line today. I will do a scenario driving the full route, or certain sections of the route at least. I have it all covered. This is just the opening scenario in the game. It's called Zone 1 because that's kind of where it covers. If you're not from London, there is a system where travel in London is split into various zones. So Zone 1's right in the centre of London. That's where all the major termini of railway stations are and everything. And then it goes out to Zone 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Believe it or not, I live in Zone 8, which I think is a bit bogus, given that I think the next stop into London from where I am... That's another train. Hey! Oh, hang on, that's not the whistle. Yeah, it's the whistle. Let's give him a whistle. I love the fact this is in this game. Hang on, is it the N... Yes! The N key on the keyboard is the whistle. Is that not the most adorable thing ever? I was so happy they got the whistle in here. But, yeah, it's split into various zones. And the next stop northbound, so the next station northbound on my local line is in Zone 6. So somehow it jumps up 2 zones between there and my station. And ergo, it also increases in price. So thanks for that. Also, I have just noticed the timings on this route are so strict. We're already nearly 3 minutes down. Just by not immediately getting out of the depot. It's ridiculously tight, this is. I guess it's the cut and thrust of London, but never mind. We'll try our best to get back on schedule. Being 3 minutes behind in the rush hour, that's barely noticeable. Most of the commuters won't even notice. So here we go. We're into Waterloo Station. That's where we're stopping today. That's where we're starting today, I should say. And we're immediately already speeding. So this is a great start. This is a great start. This is a great start. Please stop. Please stop. Please stop. There we go. Whew. Totally didn't already miss my stop at the... What a great way to start the day. So, we're loading the passengers. They're on. And, yeah, there's Waterloo. There it is. There's some people walking around. We're in, obviously, before the rush hour. So, let's close the doors and let's get on with it. It's the start of our service. And away we go. So, straight up to maximum throttle, which is parallel. Because, hey, we need to make up time. And these things accelerate pretty darn quickly. Which is useful, you know. And into the encroaching darkness we go. I mean, it is pretty fascinating, the fact that they chose the Bakerloo Line as one of the routes in this. Because, like, as far as I know, the only other game where you could really play driving a London Underground train, well, certainly in recent memory, was World of Subways 3, which was focused on, I want to say, the Circle line, the Circle and or the District line. And even that wasn't a deep-level line. Obviously, the District and Circle line, they're cut-and-cover type lines. So they've got bigger stock, and this was the old, was it the A stock, I want to say? The stuff that they're now converting into Viva Rail Class 230 units, which I think is quite a nice way of... I'm a big fan of recycling, especially when it comes to old trains, giving them a new lease of life. You know, like the Class 57, and they're converting a bunch of the old Class 56s into hilariously named Class 69s. Nice. And anyway, here's Embankment Station. So we're going to just slow to a stop, and I always kind of crap myself a little bit by the time I get to here, and I worry that I'm not slowing down enough, and then I slow down too early. So I will get the hang of this whole stopping lark at some point. Anyway, let's open the doors. And can we look out the window? There we go. Yeah, this is the only external camera. It's the lean out the window camera. But anyway, we're at Embankment Station. I like the amount of detail on a lot of these stations. They've got a lot of them right. There's certain bits that we might notice on this run that, yeah, not quite aren't quite as good, but for the most part, a lot of this, like all these details over here, that's nice. And let's get on with it, shall we? Let's go. We are still about 2.5 minutes down. We might be making up a little bit of time here. I pride myself on running an efficient service. Said is something I've never said before, if you've watched any of my Trains in World Plays videos before. Our next stop will be Charing Cross. The Bakerloo Line, I was also particularly excited for the Bakerloo Line being in this game because it's one I use semi-regularly as we're coming into Charing Cross Station. It's only a short gap between the two. And we trundle into the station. We're going 25 miles an hour. Let's put the brakes on. Put them on a little bit harder now. A little bit harder. Slow to a stop. Oh, I've got that one spot on. I've got that one spot on. I'm actually going to go and brag to everyone on the train. Be like, yeah, oh. Whoa, okay. Excuse me, sir. Did you like the way I perfectly stopped the train? Yeah, you're not interested. You just head to work. That's fine. Also, social distancing. Yeah, I should stay away from you. But anyway, here's Charing Cross. And I need to get back on because we need to get going again. Me. Why am I running so far behind schedule already? Also me. Dallies around at every stop rather than just gets on with things. I've no idea how this happens. Anyway. Let's go. Oh, there we go. We're going. So I thought I was like, wait, I didn't open the windows. Why are we not moving? Stop at location, Piccadilly Circus. 10 past 6. 6:10:45. That's a way of reading out the time. It's already 6 minutes 11. 6:11:58. So, there you go. Some green signals in the distance. I also like the fact they finally added the mouse scroll look, so the zoom in from regular Train Simulator. That was needed. I just like that, because sometimes you need to look closer to be like, what is this? PEAB operational. There you go, that's what that is. Also, we are now suddenly going up a very steep upwards climb, so a bit of sunlight glinting, or light of some kind glinting off the rails. And we're at Piccadilly Circus. Here we are. We will shortly be arriving at Piccadilly Circus. That's one thing. That's another thing I do hope gets added at some point. Like more like station announcements or on-train announcements. That'd be really nice. Like a proper decent like mind the gap. That'd be fantastic. Is that not Oxford Circus? Where the original voiceover like narrator for the mind the gap and the station announcements, they've preserved the original voiceover because the guy who did it, his widow, was there's another train. Morning. Anyway, yeah, the person who did that voiceover, it was their widow, wanted to be like, I want something to remember him by. So that's a very sweet little gesture. I think it's Oxford Circus where that's the case, which is a coincidence because that's exactly where we're going next. Doopy-doo, back into the tunnels we go. I do like another cool thing you get about modelling a tube line is you see that it's not all just tunnels. There's certain open sections. There's a lot going on down here that basically no one ever gets to see. It's not like you can walk line side on a tube line when it's underground. You basically just see the station platforms and you can peek down the tunnel for a bit, and that's about it. Need a bit of daylight creeping in from somewhere. But yeah, I do happen to use the Bakerloo Line a fair amount. It's not a common one that I end up using, but sometimes I make a point to use it anyway. We're still not accelerating. We're going up a 1.7% gradient, so we're on max throttle now. Yeah, it's a line that I like to use because I like the older stock. I just like the line. It has a lot of character, so I was very happy that of all the London Underground lines they could have featured in Train Sim World 2, they chose this one, which is very nice. And it's also more of a deep level line. Like I said, the only other game we've had where you can drive tube trains is World of Subways 3, and that was a cut and cover type line. As we're entering Oxford Circus now. Mind the gap. Yeah, that would just put this game over. Put this game over the... Oh, hello. I've left braking a little bit late. You know what? The brakes on these trains are so good. Which is useful, because I kind of need them to bail me out at certain points. Anyway. Yep. And... Oh, no. What have I done? Do I have to close the doors again? Okay, good. No. I didn't close the doors again. Aha! Yeah, I did mention this in my first impressions review. There's a lot of really good detail on the stations, and then you notice stuff like that. We're at Oxford Station over here. Anyway, just don't pay too much attention to that. Let's head over in here. And go back in here and lock the doors. Boop. There we go. It's now 6:15. And we're supposed to be at Regents Park at 6:14:45. So, whoops. We are making up time here and there, though. Away we go. Full on acceleration. We're coming up on Regents Park in a moment. I love the fact the little destination blind is represented here and everything. That's nice. There's a lot of nice things about this game. I think that's what I tried to convey in my review. Yeah, there's certain technical issues littered around. And, like, I tried to explain this in the comments because there were some really negative comments. I'm like, you know what? If you really didn't like the game, that's fine. You know, I have faith that some of the issues that I pointed out will be fixed in time because the first Train Sim World released in a similar sort of state and it got better over time. So, you know. But if there were deal breakers to you, then fair enough. But I still... I think I just like the fact that the game seems to be made with nice intentions. It's good intentions. It has that level of detail about the trains. I've always said the Train Sim World games, to me, it's like they're focused on getting the train spot on first. Then the nearest scenery, like the stations and station buildings and that, they do the best job they can on those. But the further away you get away from the trains and the line itself, the more the detail level goes down. Because they can't quite focus on that as much. But they still do a pretty decent job. Like I say, there's no real deal breakers in this game. I can't blame anyone if they have a different opinion. That's fine. But yeah, I'm enjoying the game pretty much. I'm actually looking forward to the next scenario stroke route that I'm going to give you guys, which will be coming up next week. Next Tuesday, hopefully. I'm hoping to settle into a new upload schedule of Tuesdays and Fridays. So Tuesdays will be stuff like ASAM plays, and then Fridays will be your sort of main event day with things like the full Another Station, Another Mile episodes. Can we nail the stop here? Oh my god. Oh my. The brakes on this train. The brakes on this train are so good, and I'm very grateful that they are. And welcome to Regents Park. Another strange thing. Again, I mentioned this in my first impressions. Oh, look at the train, though. It looks good. The station looks great, for the most part. There's the roundel there, obviously. But I would like just a little bit more atmosphere, in general, in the in-game world. I've always said Train Sim World, the in-game world feels a little bit stilted, a little bit dead. There's not really much going on. And especially on the London Underground, where we know it's famed for its hustle and bustle. And I'm not asking for 1 billion passengers trying to ram onto every single train, but things like, if you lean your head out the window, the background ambient noise in the station doesn't play. And I remember when I was playtesting this for review, I was like, wait a minute, is there no ambient sound? I got off the train and stood on the platform, and I was like, oh wait, now it's playing, but it's still very quiet. I was like, wait a minute. That was a little bit weird to me, because normally London Underground stations are hustling, bustling, there's loads of train announcements going on. You know, if you've ever travelled on the London Underground before, you know every 5 seconds there's like, the train now approaching platform 1, the next service to here will arrive in 1 minute. Please do not leave luggage or unattended items on the platform. May be removed without warning or destroyed or damaged by security. You know, just things like that. You know, sometimes on like national rail stations now, I'm genuinely just like, oh my god, shut up with the amount of tannoy announcements there are. Oh, here we go. Curving into Baker Street Station. So, everyone start humming the Jerry Rafferty song right now. Because you really should, because it's awesome. And I genuinely would be playing it in this video right now if I knew I wasn't going to get copyright striked to oblivion for doing so. Right, let's open the doors. Also, cool thing about this, and I love the fact that of all the things I can associate with Baker Street, it's the Jerry Rafferty song and not, say, the... Where are they? There they are. The whole Sherlock Holmes thing. I love the fact they've got the little mural designs on the wall. That's very cool. And let's Terminator run back to the cab. Out the way. Excuse me. Sorry. Pardon me. They were just like, Are we supposed to be leaving now? And then the driver walks past them. Aren't you supposed to be in the cab? Yeah, I know. Look, I was just showing my loyal fans on YouTube that picture of Sherlock Holmes on the wall. That mural over there. Fine, is this why we're running 3 minutes late? It might be a coincidence, you know? But, especially seeing as it's an early morning service, I do have my flask of tea. Oh, perfect. And into the tunnels we go. Like I say, I love those little more open sections. Which is normally where there's like crossover points and things like that between the tracks. We're going slightly uphill again, so we're on max throttle. Trying to make up time here and there, but I just don't think it's possible. It runs to such a tight schedule here, it's just not possible. Which is fair enough. The London Underground, like, especially nowadays, the amount of trains... Oh, there's a train in the other platform over there. Well, let's coast into this platform. Oh, good. Oh, this is a tight turn. That's a very tight turn. Oh, grinding our way into Marylebone Station platform. Can we stop in time? Stop in time? Stop in time? Ooh. Just about. I'll take it. And this is Marylebone, which is one of the main reasons I'd ever use the Bakerloo Line, because I like to travel via Marylebone. It's one of my favourite stations in London. And especially if I'm going to Birmingham, I just prefer running via Marylebone up to Birmingham Moor Street rather than Euston to Birmingham New Street. It's just a nicer journey for me. Often less packed as well. So I end up, if I ever go to travel somewhere via Marylebone, I often find it's like an excuse for me to travel up the Bakerloo Line, IRL. So that's very nice. Stop at location, Edgware Road at 6:19 and 45 seconds. It's now 6:21 and 45 seconds. So, whoops. But, yeah, I'm certainly enjoying it so far. I wonder if my expectations were just a little bit lower, just me. And I think a lot of people have got the right idea with Train Sim World 2, in that it definitely just feels more like a sort of update. It feels like Train Sim World 2021, in the same way that Train Sim World 2020 was a new route pack and some improvements to the overall game engine and things like that. It kind of feels similarly, you know? So we're now coming into Edgware Road Station. Let's put the brakes on a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. Why are we not slowing down? Do you know? Spot on. Again, I'll take that. So, also, I love the fake adverts on the station. Double-decker time machine. A timeless, tish, action adventure for all the family. Musical by Big Bus. A film by Development Team. I like that sort of thing. I'm the sort of person that, like, grew up, like, especially when I was little, games, it was just before games, especially racing games, had, like, licensed soundtracks or got licensed real cars in the games. So you had a lot of games, like the Ridge Racer games were very, very good at this. They had soundtrack and scores that were composed specifically for the game, and cars that were sort of in their own fictional universe. So I kind of appreciate if you know you're not going to get the license or copyright or something for everything, just throwing stuff in and being creative with your own in-game universe. Like, I like the thought that obviously they weren't going to be able to license every single actual billboard on the London Underground, because there's all sorts of stuff advertised on the Underground. There's like private equity apps and, I don't know, the tourist spots and, I don't know, I'm suddenly speeding, so that's not being advertised on the London Underground. Hey, look at this knob trying to drive a Bakerloo Line train. He's speeding. Look at him. I'm like, leave me alone. It's my first day. Anyway, we're now into Paddington Station. Another reason I like the Bakerloo Line, there's quite a few of them, but another reason, it has two of my favourite stations in London on it. Marylebone is one of them. Paddington is another. Paddington's probably my favourite of all the major termini in London. And that's mostly for a few sentimental reasons. Mainly because, you know, my dad told me loads of stories of, I think that's actually accurate. Is that not sort of like an artwork combined roundel thing? I'd have to revisit the real station to remember that. But, yeah, I grew up with my dad telling me stories of going, you know, train spotting on the Great Western Main Line and everything, and down in Dawlish, and they'd obviously all be at Paddington. In fact, there's a brilliant clip. I will share it someday. I've shared it on social media before. My dad thought it was lost, but it randomly popped up on like a BBC archive social media feed where they just post random old bits of stock footage and things like that. It was a clip from an old Daily Show, or like, you know, a sort of midday chat show sort of thing, about train spotters, and they were at Paddington Station, and the presenter of the show did a quick few interviews with a bunch of train spotters, including my dad as a little boy and a bunch of his mates. He must have been about, I don't know, early to mid-teens, and it's amazing. The most spectacular bowl haircut, the most spectacular cardigan. It's fantastic. It is fantastic. And he remembers the actual day he was out with his school friends just spotting at Paddington, because this would have been the mid-70s, or mid to late 70s, just when the Westerns, which were his favourite class of locomotive in all of history, that was their sort of home base in London. That's where you saw all of them. So they were out spotting there. There's some clips of Class 47s in the news piece. So that's where he was spotting them. And of course, to go out train spotting elsewhere, he travelled mostly from there to go down to like Dawlish and Devon and Cornwall and places like that. So Paddington was always a very sentimental place. And he remembers that segment being filmed, and he remembers being shown a preview screening of it by the BBC, and then just assumed it was lost, like the tapes had sort of fallen down the back of some drawers or something, and it just had just vanished. And then one day, this like BBC Archive Facebook page just shared, you know, on this day in 1975, I think it was, some young train spotters caught having some fun at Paddington Station. And there's my dad in his young sort of bowl haircut glory. It's quite marvellous. So we're now at Warrick Avenue for Little Venice. And another musical connotation. We've had Jerry Rafferty at Baker Street. And here, can anyone remember the Duffy song? I don't know if it was an original Duffy song or whether it was a cover, but it's just the one that goes, "When I get to Warrick Avenue." That's, I mean, it doesn't go like that because I'm completely murdering it because I cannot sing for the life of me. If you put a gun to my head and tell me to hold a tune, I just have to say, look, just shoot me because I'm not going to do it. But yeah, another musical reference there. But yeah, a lot of my favourite stations and locations happen to be on the Bakerloo Line. Plus, it's also the rare London Underground line that ventures into my neck of the woods, which is South East London. The southern terminus of the Bakerloo Line is at Elephant and Castle, which actually isn't that far away from where I live. It's about as far southeast in London as the tube goes. I can't remember the exact reason why there was barely ever any tube lines built into like South London or South East London. There just doesn't seem to be any. I seem to remember somewhere there was like an explanation provided. It was like, oh, the soil over there is like harder to tunnel into or something. If any of you know better in the comments, please do inform me. But I seem to remember that was what was explained. But I think now with the tunnelling equipment that is used, that they can build stuff easily. I mean, the Northern Line is having a southern extension which goes further into South London, which is nice. It's about time too. Our southeast Londoners have had to rely on just southeastern trains for too long, and why would you want to rely on southeastern trains? I mean, really now. Anyway, we're now into Maida Vale, which, another musical reference, the Maida Vale Studios, of course, which is, was that the one that the Beatles made famous? No, I'm thinking Abbey Road. I'm very much thinking Abbey Road, and also would like to stop here, please. Thank you. There we go. So let's just pop our head out the window. Ah, yes, on the subject of the copy-pasted running in boards, which are these things up here showing the name of the station, they kind of copy-pasted the way out signs as well, including that one. So yeah, the way out's apparently over here. I wouldn't take those signs seriously. I wouldn't listen to those. It's not recommended. But anyway, little nitpicks. You know, those are just the sort of things I kind of have a chuckle about. It doesn't really... Sometimes it breaks the immersion a little bit, and I think that's just the thing where if there's going to be refinements made to Train Sim World 2 down the line, just tweak those little things to help the immersion. That's why I was saying about adding a bit more life to the game, you know, make the pedestrian AI a little bit more, I don't know, just make them do stuff, even if they have, like, voice lines where they're just chatting to each other. I've seen some bus simulator games do things like that, and a bit more ambient noise, some train announcements, just little things like that, just to help with the immersion. And then you get little things like that where you notice that, and you're kind of thrown out, because all of a sudden you're not actually at Maida Vale Station. You're just like, oh, that's very much a bug where they've copy-pasted that sign. And it kind of throws you out of the moment. It's the whole suspension of disbelief thing. Trust me, I'm a wrestling fan. I know about the willing suspension of disbelief, all right? Not the willing suspension of my... No, the disbelieving suspension of my willy, or whatever Blackadder said. But, yeah, it's just all things like that. That's things I'd like to see in terms of where Train Sim World goes next. And I'm sure these are things that Dovetail Games are already thinking about. So, we'll see. Anyway, we're now at Kilburn Park. So, we're going to put the brakes on. Let's try and smoothly slow down. Oh, we're going to get this one spot on. Are we going to get this one spot on? Let's go up to 2, 3. Hey, there we go. Lovely. Open the doors. Let's have a look out the window. We're still something like 2.5 minutes down, and we have been the whole time. And once again, the way out is apparently over there. Is that a secret way out? Is that like a portal to another dimension? You walk into that mirror. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's what it is. Anyway, let's get ready to leave. And let's give it a little whistle. And let's power up. And head onwards to our final stop, which is Queen's Park. And we're departing approximately 2 minutes down. You know what? For a busy weekday morning, that's pretty good. Oh, that's my excuse anyway. My other excuse is that I haven't finished my tea yet. In the in-game world, this is 6:30 in the morning. So in fact, we started this run at like 6 in the morning on the dot. I had to get up at like 4 o'clock to commute over to the depot. Blimey, be surprised I didn't doze off at the controls again. Just be grateful that I actually managed to make the journey at all. Ooh, here we go as well. This is it. We're going to end this run today in the great outdoors. So, we're coming up the ramp. And hello, sunshine. Hello, the open world. Hello, external cameras. Have they come back yet? I think the whole train needs to be out. Oh, we now need to slow down as well. And say hello to our mate in the other train. Let's brake a little bit. There we go. Now we've got the external camera. There we go. And we're going to be arriving now into Queen's Park. Terminates here. There you go. I like the fact the little dot matrix indicator, like departure boards on the platforms are all working. That's very cool. They're very accurate. They've got the correct sort of look to them, which is very nice. So, and we're going to bring it to a stop right about here. Right about here. There we go. And then we're going to unlock the doors. And then I'm just going to open the door here and take a look around. Have a look around at our train. There it is. There's our train. And we're at Queen's Park, as the headboard correctly states. We've just got to get back on to complete the scenario. And... oh, no. We don't have to lock the doors to complete the scenario. So, there we go. What was our score? Oh, we got a silver medal right out of the gate. To be honest, I'm quite chuffed that we managed that, given how completely behind schedule we were. But we probably would have got a gold if we'd stuck to time. But, hey, I faffed around a bit. Especially at the beginning, explaining certain things. Yeah, you can see on the timing there. So, depot exit, I was actually early. And then line entry, I was a minute down. And by the time we got to Waterloo to start, I was 3 minutes down. So, we finished in the end about 3 minutes down. We just stayed that way around. And like I said, for rush hour in central London, you're doing pretty well if that's all it is. So, what we're going to do... can we just... can we... oh, okay. I just wondered if there was a way to continue, but... that'll wrap that one up, and thank you so much for watching today. I hope you have enjoyed the first Train Sim World 2 plays video on the channel. If you have, give this video a thumbs up, and comment down below, your initial experiences with the game, if you are playing it, if you're enjoying it, if you're not. Comment down below, keep it civil, don't go off on a full just rant, because no one likes being shouted at. And if you have travelled on the real Bakerloo Line, tell us your experiences. Tell us what you like or don't like about it. And just have a nice chat about tube trains and stuff in the comments below. And in the meantime, until we meet again, I'll see you guys soon along the way.